Every morning you wake up, you're handed a pen, invisible but powerful. That pen is your ability to decide, your ability to choose how you think, act, and respond to life. And every single stroke you make with that pen becomes a line in the book of your life. The title of that book, Your Future. You don't get to rewrite yesterday's pages. You don't get to erase the mistakes. But what you do get, what you always get, is the chance to decide what comes next. Because your decisions are writing your future in permanent ink. It's easy to forget that. We often treat life like it's written in pencil, as if we can just erase bad days, rewrite our stories, or start over without consequence. But the truth is, every choice, big or small, stays. Every, yes, every, no, every, I'll do it later, every, I can't, becomes part of your legacy. You're not just living your life, you're authoring it. Look back at the decisions that brought you here. Some were made in moments of clarity, others in confusion, but all of them had power. You decided who to trust, who to listen to, what to learn, what to ignore, when to give up, and when to keep going. And because of that, you are standing exactly where your past decisions led you. That's both the most frightening and the most freeing truth about life. Frightening, because it means you can't blame anyone else. Freeing, because it means you don't have to wait for anyone else to change it. You see, successful people understand something simple but profound. Their future is built, not discovered. It's not something that magically appears one day. It's something they design through their decisions. Every decision is like a brick, and every day is a construction site. Some people are building cathedrals. Others are building walls. The difference isn't luck, it's choice. Think about it. You can decide to get up an hour earlier, or you can decide to hit snooze. You can decide to learn something new, or you can decide to waste another evening scrolling through distractions. You can decide to speak life, or you can decide to speak doubt. And those tiny decisions, those moments that seem harmless, are shaping everything you will experience tomorrow. So if your life doesn't look the way you want it to right now, the question isn't, why me? It's, what did I decide? Because every outcome is a result of a decision. And every decision is a seed that eventually becomes a harvest. Some people are reaping the harvest of commitment and courage. Others are reaping the harvest of excuses and procrastination. But either way, you're reaping what you decided to plant. There's a story about a man who spent years blaming his circumstances. He said, "I can't get ahead because my parents didn't teach me how to succeed. I can't save money because I never earn enough. I can't be healthy because my schedule is too busy." And one day, a mentor said to him, "You've made one decision that's ruined every other one. You decided that you're not in control." That's the trap most people fall into. They give away their power by thinking their future is written by fate or luck or someone else's permission. But the truth is, fate doesn't write your story. Your decisions do. If you decide to stay comfortable, you'll live a comfortable life. But if you decide to stretch, to grow, to demand more of yourself, you'll live a meaningful life. Comfort never created greatness. Every great achiever, every visionary, every leader you admire, they made decisions that hurt before they helped. They chose the harder path. They decided that their future was worth the price of discipline. Jim Rohn once said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." That's it. You don't need to change your life overnight. You just need to start deciding differently. Think about your health. You can decide to drink water today instead of soda. You can decide to walk for 20 minutes. You can decide to sleep earlier. These small decisions seem insignificant, but they're writing your future body in permanent ink. Think about your finances. You can decide to save before you spend. You can decide to invest in learning. You can decide to give up short-term pleasure for long-term freedom. These decisions are writing your financial story in permanent ink. Think about your relationships. You can decide to listen more than you talk. You can decide to forgive instead of hold grudges. You can decide to be honest when lying would be easier. Those decisions are writing your emotional future in permanent ink. And most importantly, think about your mindset. Because how you think determines how you decide. You can decide to see problems as opportunities. You can decide to learn from failure. You can decide to be grateful for what you have while reaching for what you want. Your future self is waiting for you. He or she is shaped by the decisions you're making right now. Every "I'll do it tomorrow" writes another page of regret. Every "I'll start today" writes another page of progress. So I want you to pause and ask yourself a powerful question. What am I writing today? Are you writing a story of growth or stagnation? A story of courage or comfort? A story of purpose or procrastination? Because whatever you decide, you're signing your name to it. The beauty of life is that while you can't erase the past, you can always start a new chapter. You can decide today that your next chapter will be different. You can decide that the pain you've felt will become the wisdom you'll share. You can decide that every mistake will become a lesson instead of a label. But don't wait for someday. Someday is a thief that steals today. Your power exists only in the present moment. That's where decisions live. That's where futures are written. Let's be honest. Most people don't fail because they make the wrong decisions. They fail because they don't decide at all. Indecision is a silent killer. It's the hesitation that turns into regret. It's the maybe later that becomes too late. You must learn to decide quickly and confidently, not recklessly, but with faith. Faith that even if your decision isn't perfect, it will move you forward. Because life rewards momentum, not hesitation. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting forever. No one ever feels ready to change their life. They just decide to do it anyway. When you decide, the world begins to rearrange itself around that decision. Opportunities you couldn't see before start to appear. People who can help you start to cross your path. Energy begins to flow in your direction. But all of that begins with one simple act: deciding. So if you're standing at a crossroads between who you are and who you want to be, understand this. Your next decision is not small. It's a signature. It's your mark on time. Will you decide to complain or to create, to retreat or to rise, to stay afraid or to take action, to live for approval or to live for purpose? Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're writing a stronger, bolder future. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you're strengthening the story your children will tell about you. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building the foundation for your success. And remember, even not deciding is a decision. When you choose to do nothing, you've chosen to let circumstances write your story for you. But when you decide with clarity, you reclaim the pen. Life is not written in pencil. It's written in permanent ink. You can't erase the past, but you can outshine it. You can't change what you did, but you can decide what you'll do next. One day, you'll look back and realize that the biggest moments of your life weren't accidents. They were decisions. The moment you decided to keep going when it was hard. The moment you decided to believe in yourself when no one else did. The moment you decided to turn pain into power instead of pity. Those moments defined everything. So what will you decide today? Decide to dream bigger. Decide to work harder. Decide to forgive faster. Decide to think better. Decide to grow stronger. Decide to take responsibility for your future, because no one else will. You see, the great divide between the life you want and the life you live isn't time, luck, or opportunity. It's the quality of your decisions. Every successful person you admire didn't get there by chance. They got there because one day they made a decision and refused to go back. They decided that excuses would no longer run their life. They decided that comfort would no longer define them. They decided that fear would no longer control them. And that decision changed everything. Right now, you're one decision away from a different life. Maybe it's the decision to start something new. Maybe it's the decision to end something unhealthy. Maybe it's the decision to take that risk you've been afraid to take. Whatever it is, make it. Don't think. Don't wait. Decide. Because the clock is ticking. And while you're waiting for the perfect moment, the ink is still flowing. The pages are still being written. The only question is, are you writing your story, or is life writing it for you? Make today the day you take back the pen. Make today the day you decide to live intentionally. Write your story with conviction, with courage, with clarity. Write it so that when you read it years from now, you'll smile and say, I decided to live fully. I decided to be the author of my destiny. Every decision we make today becomes the ink that writes the story of our tomorrow. Life doesn't give us a pencil with an eraser. It gives us a pen filled with permanent ink. The truth is, you can't go back and rewrite a single word from yesterday. You can't erase the mistakes, undo the choices, or remove the pain. Once a page is written, it stays written. And that's what makes life both precious and powerful. When you begin to understand that every decision carries a consequence. Every word, every action, every thought. You start to live with more intention. Because suddenly, you realize this: you are not simply living through time. You are authoring time. You are writing your legacy in the most permanent language that exists: your choices. So many people live as if life hands them a pencil, thinking they can erase what they regret and redraw what they missed. They say, I'll fix it later. I'll change when I'm ready. I'll start next year. But here's the reality. There's no eraser for wasted time. There's no delete button for a decision that cost you a dream. There's no rewind for the days you spent waiting for the perfect moment. Life only moves forward. The pages keep turning. The ink keeps flowing. And every choice you make becomes a part of your story, whether you like it or not. That's why awareness is so powerful. The moment you become aware that your decisions are permanent, you start deciding differently. You start thinking twice before you speak words that can't be taken back. You start saying yes to growth instead of excuses. You start saying no to comfort when it costs you your future. Think of it this way: every decision is a stroke of your pen. Some are bold, others faint. Some create beauty, others chaos. But every single one builds the picture of your life. When you choose discipline over distraction, You're writing strength into your story. When you choose forgiveness over bitterness, you're writing peace. When you choose gratitude over complaint, you're writing joy. When you choose action over hesitation, you're writing progress. And even when you make mistakes, and you will, those mistakes don't have to define the entire story. They can become lessons written in ink, reminders of where you've been, not predictions of where you're going. Life's permanent ink doesn't mean you can't grow. It means your growth becomes part of your history. The stains of your struggle can become the art of your strength. Imagine your life as a book sitting on a shelf. Someday, someone will pick it up. Maybe your child, maybe your friend, maybe someone who looks up to you. And they'll start to read. What will they find? A story of excuses, hesitation, and fear. Or a story of courage, faith, and decisions that created a masterpiece. You have that choice today. Right now, the pen is in your hand. The future is unwritten. And every decision you make, what you eat, what you say, how you treat people, how you spend your time, how you handle pressure, is another line in that book. So don't write carelessly. Don't live like your choices don't matter. Don't act as if the little things are meaningless, because the little things compound. One day, they become the big things. Every, "I'll do it tomorrow," adds a line of regret. Every, "I'll do it now," adds a line of pride. Every, "I can't," adds a shadow. Every, "I will," adds light. That's the power of decision. You're holding the pen that will decide what kind of story you live and what kind of legacy you leave. Because life isn't about waiting for the right moment. Life is the moment. And the ink is running every second you hesitate. So make your decisions count. Make them worthy of the permanent ink they're written in. Decide with purpose. Decide with courage. Decide with clarity. Because once the ink dries, it becomes your truth. And when you look back years from now, you'll either be proud of what you wrote, or you'll wish you'd written something different. So today, write boldly, write wisely, write beautifully, because your decisions, every single one, are writing your future in permanent ink. The power to shape destiny doesn't lie in chance. It lies in the choices we make daily. Even small decisions ripple through time, creating outcomes far greater than we imagine. Too often, people look at success and call it luck. They look at someone who has built an extraordinary life and say, they were in the right place at the right time. But destiny doesn't unfold because of luck. It unfolds because of decision. Luck might open a door once, but only discipline and conscious choice can keep it open. Your destiny isn't written in the stars. It's written in your schedule. It's written in how you spend your mornings, how you handle your evenings, and how you respond when life gets difficult. Every day you're given a series of choices. Some seem small, some feel insignificant, but each one is shaping your future in ways you can't yet see. Think of your life as a massive ocean. Every decision you make is a drop that sends ripples across its surface. You may not notice it immediately, but over time those ripples become waves. Waves that carry you towards success or pull you away from it. The decision to study instead of scroll. The decision to wake up early instead of sleep in. The decision to invest in yourself instead of spending on temporary pleasure. The decision to say yes to growth and no to comfort. Those choices seem small, but they are seeds planted in the soil of your destiny. They take root quietly, but one day they grow into forests of opportunity. No one becomes great overnight. Greatness is never a single event. It's the result of thousands of tiny, consistent decisions. Decisions made in silence, without applause, without recognition, without reward. But make no mistake, they matter. Because small decisions, repeated daily, are what separate those who drift from those who rise. You can't control the weather of life. You can't control the economy, the traffic, or the opinions of others, but you can control your decisions. And that's the most powerful form of control you'll ever have. Every choice you make is a declaration to the universe. This is who I am becoming. When you choose patience over anger, you're shaping your emotional destiny. When you choose honesty over convenience, you're shaping your moral destiny. When you choose faith over fear, you're shaping your spiritual destiny. And when you choose persistence over giving up, you're shaping your success destiny. Destiny doesn't happen suddenly. It builds quietly. It builds in the moments when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one notices. It builds every time you do the right thing when the wrong thing would be easier. You may think your small choices don't matter, but they do. Because time magnifies everything. A small decision made today, repeated 1,000 times, becomes your character, your habits, your lifestyle, and eventually your fate. For example, choosing to read 10 pages of a book every day might seem insignificant. But over a year, that's 6 to 50 pages, about 15 books. That's 15 new perspectives, 15 new tools, 15 new levels of wisdom, all from a decision that took 10 minutes a day. Or consider the decision to save just a small portion of your income. Over time, it grows, not only in money, but in mindset. You begin to think differently about your future, your discipline, your security. And that shift changes your destiny. The point is, destiny is not something you discover. It's something you design. It's not a surprise ending. It's a deliberate creation. Think about the people you admire most. Every one of them made consistent, intentional choices long before anyone noticed. They sacrificed evenings, comfort, and instant gratification for something bigger, something lasting. And because of those daily decisions, their lives became stories worth telling. You have that same power. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't years. It's decisions. The direction of your life can change the moment you decide differently. You don't need to wait for a miracle. You don't need to wait for the stars to align. You don't need to wait for someday. All you need is the courage to decide today that you are done living by chance and ready to live by choice. When you start making intentional decisions, the world starts responding differently. You attract better people, better opportunities, and better outcomes. You begin to notice that the universe rewards clarity. When you know what you want and decide to go after it, life starts to open doors that once seemed locked. But when you leave your future to chance, when you drift through life reacting instead of deciding, you surrender your power. You hand your pen to the world and say, "Write my story for me." And that's when you wake up one day wondering, how did I end up here? You didn't end up there by accident. You were carried there by 1,000 small decisions that you didn't make consciously. So stop leaving your life to coincidence. Start living with conviction. Decide who you want to become. And start aligning your daily decisions with that vision. Because the small choices you make when no one is watching are writing the big chapters of your life. Destiny is not built in grand moments. It's built in daily moments. The moments when you choose to rise instead of rest. The moments when you choose growth over comfort. The moments when you choose responsibility over excuses. Each of these choices adds another line to the masterpiece of your life. Each ripple eventually becomes a wave strong enough to carry you toward your dreams. So the next time you're faced with a small decision, remember, it's not small. It's permanent ink. It's another sentence in your story. It's another step toward the destiny you're creating, whether you realize it or not. Don't underestimate the power of your daily choices. They are the architects of your future, the builders of your destiny, the unseen forces shaping everything you'll ever become. Because life won't give you what you wish for. It will give you what you decide for. The true success of your life depends not on your conditions, but on your decisions. That single truth separates those who live as victims of life from those who live as masters of it. Conditions may shape your environment, but decisions shape your experience. You don't need perfect conditions to live a great life. You need powerful decisions. We live in a world where people constantly blame their conditions. I was born into the wrong family. I didn't go to the right school. The economy is bad. I don't have the right connections. And while those conditions might explain where you start, they don't define where you finish. Because life doesn't respond to your environment. It responds to your choices within that environment. Some of the most successful people on earth came from the hardest, most impossible beginnings. Some started with nothing, no wealth, no education, no support, just a decision to rise, a decision to learn, a decision to fight for more, and others, with all the advantages in the world, lost everything because they made poor decisions. So it's not about what you have. It's about what you do with what you have. Your decisions are more powerful than your circumstances. Because conditions are temporary, but decisions are transformational. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens in you. You can decide how to react, how to think, how to move forward. And that's where success begins. Not in conditions, but in choices. History is filled with people who prove this truth. Think about it, great leaders, inventors, and thinkers who came from nothing, but made something extraordinary because they decided to. They didn't wait for life to become easy. They decided to become stronger. They didn't wait for doors to open. They decided to knock until one did. Every person who's ever changed their life started the same way, with a decision. The decision to stop waiting. The decision to stop complaining. The decision to take responsibility. The decision to act. Your conditions might be your starting point, but they are never your destiny. What matters is the decisions you make from this point forward. If you decide to grow, no condition can hold you down. If you decide to learn, no failure can destroy you. If you decide to persist, no rejection can stop you. If you decide to believe, no doubt can silence you. Because success doesn't come to those who have everything. It comes to those who decide to make everything they have enough. You can take two people with the same conditions and get completely different outcomes. One person complains about the rain. The other plants seeds. One says, I can't do anything with what I have. While the other says, I'll start with what I've got. Same weather, same soil, same time, different results. Why? Because one decided to act, and the other decided to wait. That's how powerful decisions are. They turn ordinary conditions into extraordinary outcomes. Look around your life right now. There might be things you can't control. The economy, your past, the opinions of others, your background. But none of those things have the final say. What does? The decisions you make with what you've been given. You can decide to let your conditions define you, or you can decide to redefine your conditions. You can decide to stay where you are, or you can decide to rise above it. You can decide to live small, or you can decide to live with purpose. And here's something important. Success doesn't begin when you get more. It begins when you decide to do more with what you already have. Some people are waiting for perfect conditions, the perfect time, the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect opportunity. But perfect conditions don't exist. They never have. If you're waiting for everything to align before you start, you'll be waiting forever. The most successful people didn't wait for the right conditions. They created them. They started with a little and decided to make it count. They failed and decided to try again. They faced rejection and decided not to quit. They were afraid and decided to move forward anyway. That's what greatness looks like. Not perfection, but decision. Your life changes the moment you stop saying, "I can't because," and start saying, "I will even if it's hard, even if I don't know how, even if I'm scared, even if I've failed before." Because the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's decision. Decide that your future will not be determined by your conditions. Decide that you are greater than your environment. Decide that your power lies not in what happens to you, but in how you respond to what happens to you. Life will test you. It will throw storms your way, shake your faith, and challenge your plans. But no storm lasts forever. And if your decisions are strong enough, they can outlast any storm. Remember this: conditions are external, decisions are internal. Conditions are temporary, decisions are eternal. Conditions are uncertain, decisions are powerful. You can't always choose your starting point, but you can always choose your direction. You can't always choose your challenges, but you can always choose your response. You can't always choose your opportunities, but you can always choose your attitude toward them. The greatest advantage in life is not to be born in the best conditions. It's to develop the strength to make the best decisions. So wherever you are right now, no matter what your background, your struggles, your pain, you can decide right here, right now, that your story is not over. You can decide to write a new chapter, to rise above your past, to take control of your next step. Because the true measure of a person is not what happens to them, but what they decide to do about it. Your future doesn't need perfect conditions. It needs a powerful decision. Decide that your mindset will be stronger than your problems. Decide that your purpose will be louder than your excuses. Decide that your commitment will be greater than your circumstances. Because when you make that kind of decision, life begins to move in your favor. You'll find strength you didn't know you had. You'll see doors open you never noticed before. You'll attract people and opportunities that align with your decision. That's the magic of choice. It turns limitations into leverage, pain into power, and conditions into catalysts. So never forget this truth. The true success of your life depends not on your conditions, but on your decisions. Because the moment you decide to take ownership of your life, everything begins to change. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't timing, it wasn't the conditions.